All right. Oh, hello. Okay, so let me go through the comments. All right. Hello, Norma. Hello, Rain from Kansas. All right, Megan, Texas, Kentucky, Papa Coda, and Mama in Kentucky. Kentucky is a difficult one. I know that one's a struggle, but we just had somebody talk about passing the Kentucky exam. They passed the property exam in Kentucky. Let me turn off this fan real quick. Okay, yeah, David had the fan on. All right, hello, people on TikTok. We're over here on the YouTube channel. In fact, I believe I can go like super. Do I have volume? Let me be sure. Yeah. All right. I like to go super meta and like, look at that. You see the live on the live on the live on the live. It's awesome. Oh, you guys can see it on TikTok too. Okay. All right. So reading through the comments. Okay. Anne is in New York. Okay. So you had the silver, got a 66, now purchase gold after I failed. Okay, perfect. So since you have gold now, you should be able to pull off a pass. Make sure you watch all of the videos. You can try to request going live with me. I don't know how to do it on TikTok. I don't know. Guests. Okay, hang on. Do you have a car? Is that you? All right. This is fun, trying out something new. Okay, I'm taking the life in California next week. All right, I'm sending you guys all the loves and the vibes to pass the exam for everyone who is testing. Rebecca, I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina, studying for my health exam. So, my sister lives in Charlotte. I lived in Charlotte for a little bit. That's awesome. With Charlotte, they're a little funky because, or not Charlotte, but with North Carolina, it's a little funky because you they have two separate tests. They have the accident and health exam, and then they have the Medicare supplement exam, and they separate it out. So you take health, which doesn't include Medicare and long-term care, and then they have a separate Medicare and long-term care exam. I don't have the preparation to help you with the the long-term care exam, but I can definitely help you out with the health exam. Okay. Studying for Texas PNC 4 times is a charm. Haven't been able to afford gold watching your videos. Just watch the gold on repeat. You got this. Your gold packet is awesome. Yes, fantastic. Okay, so Papa Coda and Mama, yes, took the health and life twice, didn't pass. My name is Carnes, just on my couple's channel. Yeah, no problem. So with Kentucky, it is really tricky to be able to pass the exam. So it's likely that you'll have to take multiple attempts in Kentucky, but we have had many Kentucky passers, especially if you can use the Gold Class Series package, that can really help you out. All right. I'm going to accept this person. I don't know. One guest requesting. Let me see what happens. Okay. So I'm live also on TikTok, but I would encourage you to stay on YouTube. But I'm going to see what happens if this person comes on. If it's you over here, that has to come on. I don't know. All right. Let's see. Smash the like button. I'm in Texas taking my life and health exam, New York. Okay. So for anybody, if you're like wondering, okay, so one of the major things about being able to pass the insurance exam is knowing what is tested on the exam. And every state's a little bit different, but most of them have exactly the same most tested, major tested topics. And that's what I cover in the Gold Class Series package. So when you get your online course like Kaplan, Excel, 80 Banker, ExamFX, they just show this is all the stuff you need to know. And they give you the chapters and the chapter quizzes, but they don't say this chapter is really important and this chapter is not as important. That's what I like to tell you, and that's what I share with you is which concepts are very important and which concepts are not very important. And so if you go to my website, insuranceexamqueen.com, and you can click on property and casualty or life or health, whichever exam you're taking, and then click on recommendations and scroll to your state. I will tell you which chapters, which concepts are most important. Okay, I think I might be live with someone here. I see someone's face. Oh, I can barely hear you. Okay, hang on. Let me turn it up. Okay, go ahead. Yes, and let me put the microphone close to the YouTube microphone so that people can hear you too. Okay, go ahead.
So yeah, I was one messaging on TikTok. The issue that I'm having is California is they ask you. I mean, the main things on it that I seen when I got my results back was a lot of it is commercial, and a lot of it is a big portion of like the personal lines and auto. I seen a lot of auto things on there, but the part that's getting me is they ask stuff to like personally trick you. Where it's, I know that's what they're meant to do, but I mean, shit, this is my about to be my fourth time taking it soon, so.
You're not alone. And on the YouTube, can you guys hear him? I want to make sure you guys can hear him. It's coming through my phone audio to the microphone, but hopefully you guys can hear him. Okay, so he says that he's in California and that he's been struggling with passing this. This is his fourth attempt. He's struggling with the commercial questions and then auto questions, and he feels like the questions are tricky. To summarize, okay, so first of all, it's normal to fail. Most people do. So give yourself a little bit of grace there. Second, I know you had silver and you just got gold. Gold is significantly going to help you out. So if you can watch those videos, especially the topics that you feel like you're struggling on, it's going the difference between silver and gold is immense. Like silver is a review of the material where gold is a lot more intricate teaching of the material. So gold is going to help you out now that you've upgraded to that. Now, in terms of the California exam specifically, commercial is a really big chunk of the California exam. However, California only requires that you get a 60% pass rate. So you only have to get 60% of the questions correct. Commercial makes up about 38% of the exam. So you can actually get almost all of commercial wrong and still pass the exam if you get everything else correct. So even if you can just get a tiny bit of commercial correct and be strong in everything else, you're able to pull off a pass. So the other major topics in California is going to be general insurance. That's going to be the first few videos in gold. And then you have,
Is that just like the general terms, like the
yeah,
definition? The part that I'm having issues with is I know I got dwelling, I have homeowners, I have all of that almost in the back of my head. It's just there's a few parts of that that confuses me. But other
yep.
than that, there might be a few that are like off and on, but yeah, it's mainly the terms, remembering all the. I get mixed up with a lot of the terms, aleatory, unilateral, all that.
Yes. So one of the other videos that I would encourage you to watch, which is free on the YouTube channel for everybody, is I have two videos called one is called General Insurance Memorization, and then one is called General Insurance Conversational Audio. The memorization audio is me repeating, like I'll tell you what the word means, and then I will repeat the definition that you want to like sink into your brain. And then the conversational audio is just where I explain it and like talk about it, but I don't repeat the definition. So those are two that you can watch, and that's true for everybody who has general insurance on their exam, is to listen to those conversational and the memorization audios. And then I am working on making more of those for dwelling and homeowners and stuff like that too. And then your scoring, I think you said that your most recent score was a 66.
No, so I got it the first time I took it before. I think I had one of my friends that is an Asian from LA told me he recommended me to watch your videos on YouTube. Watched all those, and then I tried to get. I didn't realize there was that much more. Then I took it the first time. I think I got like a 55 or 56. Like it was bad, and that's just how many out of questions. That's not the percentage. So I got a 66 out of 90, which is a required minimum, and then after that, I took it my third time after the silver. So, I mean, it bumped me up and I got to a 76. So I'm really 14 questions away from.
Okay. Okay. So definitely now that you've got gold since the last time that you took the exam, that's again going to significantly help you out. And then inside gold, one of the last few videos is called navigating difficult test questions. And Peter actually teaches that class. So in that class, he breaks down like, because like a lot of the times they'll give you a question where like two answers sound really good and you've got to figure out which one, or like what are they actually asking in this question, or even just like simple test stuff like you usually when you have like four choices, if there's one that's like really long compared to the rest of them, that's usually the right one. So like just knowing little stuff like that, he teaches you how to break that down. So that's a video that you want to watch. And then there's another one. I mean, you want to watch all of gold, but then there's another video in gold called Take a Test with Me. And this is where I pull up a bunch of test questions and I answer them. Like we play a game and I answer them and I explain why that question is that question. So like we just kind of like break down a question and talk about it and talk about some of the tricky things about the question. So I think that once you if you can, finish watching the gold, especially in the topics you're struggling on, don't worry too much about commercial because again, in California, you don't have to be super strong in commercial. And then make sure you watch the navigating difficult test questions and the take a test with me. That can really help you out to get practice on dealing with those tricky questions.
Right. That's probably I have like I literally just finished your one course on umbrella, and I mean I've watched all through silver, and I watched probably the videos over a few of them that I was weekend. That's when I retook it, and then I waited. I didn't want to just take it again because it's $100 each time. So that
Oh
kind of
my
added
God, it's
into it.
$100. Damn.
Yeah, especially they do it online. So I mean, it's I don't know, it's ridiculous. You can't go through. The funny thing is, my agent that I'm getting hired with keeps constantly telling me, "Oh, just take the practice test. Just take the practice test. That's the most proven way." And I'm like, I literally told him, I'm like, I paid for an extra course, and at this point, he's just older. Where it's like I gotta explain to him, there's no. In California, you can take one practice test, other than like going on Quizlet, which all the questions on there are generalized. They're just created by random people, if I'm correct.
Yeah, you can't so that's one of the problems with Quizlet is you can't necessarily trust what's on there because anybody can just put up anything on Quizlet and there's no way to verify that it's like good information.
Right, which is why I was like, I don't want to go on there, and the only real one that you can take is on PSI, and then you have to pay $30 for like you don't even give you the minimum the maximum amount of the minimum time that you normally get on like a regular things like 3 hours on the normal. On that one, it gives you like an hour long. It's like 140 questions, and it's like I was second time taking it. I didn't know too much. So I was just trying to see where I was at.
Yeah, I generally do not promote taking a lot of practice exams because they're not that helpful. And the questions on the way that the questions are in a practice course or on a practice exams are not necessarily worded the same way that they are on the actual state exam. So you got to be careful because like some people can read a test question written one way and then extrapolate the knowledge that they need and then answer that question asked a different way. But it's very rare that a person can do that. So it's better if you just know the information, actually know the material and know the information. So since you know like your weak areas, again, gold is going to change the game for you. It's much more in depth and you already jumped significant points by watching the silver. So I would expect to see that same type of jump going from gold now.
That's what I was thinking. It's literally 14 questions, so it's like they gave me like there's 20. You got 20 out of like 50 questions on this one. You got like 20 out of like 25 out of like 50 on this one. So I know there's the general terms and other things I can probably just catch up. That wasn't the main thing I was focusing on because it's like the main portion of the test was commercial and dwelling and auto. The auto they even get you because they ask certain. I don't know. It might just be me, but one I remember in the back of my head was like it'll say, "Oh, your neighbor took your car out," and from just general insurance in general, not even if I did know about it, someone that isn't in your household, I don't think they would be covered under your auto policy regardless. So it's like they ask you things, and it's like, "Oh, well, it would be the neighbor. The neighbor took your car out, or this person took your car out." It's like they're not under my auto policy, so how would they be covered?
Anybody, so here, this is a test question. You literally said it. Like they asked you this question. Anybody that you give permission to drive your car is covered. So like if I say, to you, here's my keys, go to the store and you drive my car, you're covered under my insurance.
So is a key word in that permission, like whoever, or it'd probably be in the answer, like I gave this so and so neighbor permission to drive my auto.
Yeah, and they may not say that you gave permission, but unless they explicitly say that they don't have permission, then we would assume anybody is allowed to use it.
Okay, that makes sense then. I never realized that because I thought if I just just you go and take anyone's car at that extent. I thought they'd have to be on your policy.
No, I mean, well, think about how casual it is that most people are like, oh yeah, just take my car or whatever. Like we just let people use our car. I mean, I don't, well, maybe not some people, but I just let people use my vehicle if they need to run or, do something, or they don't have the car, or their car broke down, whatever. So I just, like anybody who's driving like the insurance does two things. Auto insurance does two things. It covers the car and it covers the driver. So like when anyone is driving your car, your insurance is there for the car. So anyone driving it is going to have the same level insurance as you driving it. And then additionally, your insurance policy follows you as a driver. So if you get into my car and you have your own insurance policy. Let's say you're covered like with State Farm, and then I'm covered, with Allstate. You drive my car and you crash my car, your State Farm policy would provide coverage for you as a driver in my car. And then, but this is another question though they may ask you is whose insurance goes first. So the insurance on the car is always first. So if you're driving my car and you crash it first, my insurance will pay. And then if there's not enough insurance on my policy, then your insurance policy would kick in and cover you as a driver.
I don't know. It's still, I understand the aspect of it, but it's just, I don't know. I don't understand the point of the contract. And I guess it's just for you, as you were saying. But
so if you have insurance, it's covering the car itself and you as a driver. So I'm covered on my car and I'm covered as a driver.
So isn't that why you would list people as on your policy? Because if they're not listed.
So okay, so I see what you're saying. Yes. So if I'm not listed, I don't have any insurance as a driver. If I want insurance as a driver, I would need to be listed on a policy. Now, also to that point, like the insurance company wants to know who is normally driving your car. So they're going to want to say the people who are always driving your car, who have frequent use of your car, they need to be added as a driver. Because there is a thing that'll say if you're not added as a driver and you're always driving the car, then they won't actually cover it. They will have an exclusion for that. That's not really a testable point, so I don't get too much into it. But the insurance company wants to know everyone who is frequently driving your car, and everyone who is frequently driving your car does need to be added to your policy, or they need to be informed about them.
Well, it's just, I don't understand. I mean, a lot of people learn differently, but it's just the part that gets me is there's so much on, like, everybody that you tell in general that, hey, you tell people I failed it 3 times and they think something different. But when you fully get into it, it's like you got all these different little things you have to remember that are so important. Like when you're learning about, I get caught up in dwelling because in the DP1s and DP2 and DP3, I know what they are, like open named. I remember all your techniques that help me remember that. And that I remember all the way from HO2 to HO8. But then that's when it starts confusing me is between those. And then, like, I don't know, I guess I'm trying to find the way to explain it. But that's when I start getting caught up in those is between the DPs and HOs. Because then I think on the test, they ask you a lot of things that's like, you have to remember the perils that make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a DP1 that one's the easiest one, DP2 or DP3, and then once you get into HO, it's like, oh, how does this happen when this happens,
So the easiest way I really only kind of have like three sets of perils that I want you to think about when you're thinking about dwelling in homeowners. So you have DP1, which is fire, lightning, and internal explosion. And then when you think about DP2, you've got, and then of course with the DP1, you can add the extended coverage perils known as wharfs. You can add VMM, vandalism and malicious mischief. So I have the DP1 with fire, lightning, and internal explosion. I can add the extended coverage perils, which will give me wharfs, wind, hail, aircraft, riot, vehicle, volcano, explosion, smoke. And then I can add VMM, vandalism, malicious mischief. When we move into the DP2, It gets all of that plus the BBB ice golf. Those are pretty much the only perils that you gonna need to know, because what is covered on DP2, homeowners covers all of that too. So when you think of DP2, think of HO2. DP2 and HO2 are like twins. They're almost exactly the same, except dwelling says you don't have to live here. Homeowner says the owner has to live there. And then theft is on homeowners. So that's a one extra thing.
Do you feel like it's important to remember? So not necessarily, or I remember the perils, but I mean I used to remember the general term behind HO2, but then it's like DP1. I might be wrong, but DP1 basic, DP what was it?
DP2 broad.
Right, DP2 broad, and then DP3 was a special, I believe, and then it's the other way around for homeowners. So that's where I start getting confused with those as well. And
No, they're actually the same name. So DP1 is basic, and that's the only policy called basic is DP1. Then DP2 is called broad, HO2 is called broad, DP3 is called special, HO3 is called special. So then the only other names that are different, or not really different, but then you've got HO4, which is renters, HO5, which is comprehensive, it covers everything. HO6 is the condominium, and then HO8 is the modified policy for an older house.
The funny thing about that, I was just driving through my neighborhood and I seen like a sign right out front of this place and it said condominium. I would have never knew what that meant.
Condominium. Yeah, condominium. Condo, condominium. Condominium is a really long word of saying condo.
Yeah, no, that got me at first on the test, but once when I started getting into the course, that's what basically helped with that.
Yes, and there is a video that I do want to make a video that like helps sink in the memorization. You know, DP1 basic, DP2 broad, DP3 special, HO2 broad, HO3 special, HO4 renters, HO5 comprehensive, HO6 condo, HO8 modified. Simply just remembering those names is a really good thing.
Right, and I did purchase the exam questions as well, which I went through it and took it, but it's just like after that I couldn't tell which ones I got wrong, and it just listed all the correct answers, and I was just like, oh god, that's like 100 questions.
I would focus mostly on watching the videos, because again, even like, I mean, my questions are pretty good for matching with the state exam too, but like honestly, just knowing the information so that you're not, because a lot of people will like take practice questions and then they expect that the state exam will look like those practice questions, but the actual state exam questions can be very different than the practice exam. So if you are not familiar with any questions, you won't get like stuck on a set way of this is how the questions need to be.
I mean, even at that, I went through Kaplan. That's when I paid for it. I learned, I mean, there's a few little things I remember from there, but I didn't remember jack from that. It was just more, it was so long where it was like, I only have such a long, I don't expect this agent to hold my position. That's why I got into it, is because I got an interview and I never knew about insurance, or I knew about it because my friend does it, but it wasn't anything where it was like, I didn't think I'd get into it. And I got offered it, and it was like, I didn't have any career or anything in mind. So it's like, that's something important for sure. That's a change. So I was like, I'll just do it. But now it's like, oh, the fourth time you take it, if you don't pass it, I'm going to move on to somebody else. So it's like, now I'm pressured.
Yeah, and a lot of people actually feel that pressure, and it's one of the reasons why I do what I do. I really want to be able to help you guys out, because you guys, insurance is such an amazing career where you can make more money than you've ever made before. I know for me, the place I made the most money was in insurance. So getting your license can put you in a really great position to make so much money. And then like you get hired for a job, but then you got to be able to pass. And if you don't pass, you lose that job, you lose that opportunity. But I always live with the perspective that what is meant for you cannot be taken from you. And so if you're meant to have an insurance job, you're meant to get your license, it's going to happen. And sometimes your first opportunity isn't always the best opportunity. So like the first person to introduce you to insurance may not actually be the best person to work with. And so you may just need to trust that, like, if this doesn't work out with this person, it means that I'm just meant to do something else. Perhaps, I got introduced by this agency, but it would be much better to work for, this agency. I just got introduced to the insurance career and the insurance field in general. And knowing like everything is working out for me. Like, I'm a person who believes everything is working out for me. I literally say this all the time. Everything is working out for me in my favor. Everything is working out for me in my favor. And I really trust that what is meant for me cannot be taken from me. And I would just focus on like, what is the next right step? What is the next right move? And just trusting that it's going to work out. And that's why like having a positive attitude, a positive, happy attitude when you're heading into the exam is incredibly powerful too. So it's free on YouTube as well, but I also put it in the gold class series package to like remind people to watch this. But it's the about to study motivation audio. So it's like a 5-minute audio that you listen to as you're about to study. It really psychs you up, gets you happy, gets you thinking about how insurance is an amazing career. And then as you study, you remove the pressure. Like if you're trying to study while you're afraid, you're not going to remember a lot. And so that's why one of these things is so hard is like you get this job, you get this opportunity, and if you don't pass, you can lose it. And then suddenly the pressure's on, and oh my God, how am I going to remember all of this? And how am I going to pass this exam? And this is too much information to learn. And oh my God, I got bills to pay. And how is this going to work out? And then all of that prevents you from being able to actually learn what you need to learn and remember what you need to remember. So by listening to that about to study motivation audio, it kind of clears that out, gets you excited, and allows your brain to actually absorb the information that you need to know. And then I also made an about to test motivation audio. So this is again like a 5-minute audio that you can listen to on your way to the exam while you're sitting in the parking lot. And it just psychs you up to be able to pass and just gives you this belief like, I'm going to pass. I'm going to pass. Like, I'm so excited. I'm going to pass this exam. I'm going to start an amazing career. I've got this in the bag. I'm a really good guesser. Like, I know I'm going to get the questions right. And then and many people have cited, on the Google reviews that is one of the reasons they feel like they passed the exam. So I would definitely make sure that you're listening to the about to study every time you sit down to study, and then listen to the about to test when you're about to test on the exam.
I guess that's the better thing that makes you feel better is you don't have to get every single one right. So if there's some subject I don't understand or something, like some of the things going through, it's like I'm not gonna remember that. Like the numbers through business auto, I was just watching a garage auto. Like I remember most of them, but it's like 1 through 19 is business, and 21 through 31 I think was commercial. That's where I start. I've seen those on the test as well. So I mean, but they changed it up so much. So it's like, when I take the next one, maybe I did so good on the last one because they changed up the questions. They never have the same ones on there. So it's like, I don't know. That's when it starts getting in my head. It's like, shit, what if I take the next one? And it just changes everything.
Well, I mean, you have to be prepared for always different questions. Yes. There are some people who say, I took the test and I had exactly the same questions the next time. There are people who say, I saw a mix, like some were new, some were the same. And then some people like you say, they're not the same at all. But our memories are a little funky. And then this is also too what I like to tell people is they're like, my whole test was commercial. I'm like, it literally is not. Like, that's impossible. There is a set breakdown of how many questions will come from each section, and only so many of them will come from commercial. It's just because the commercial questions are so scary that it tends to be what we remember seeing the most. We don't remember the easy one, like, oh, what is the definition of insurance, transfer of risk? Like, we forget that was one of the questions because it was so easy. We barely even spent time on it. What we remember the most is the questions that scare us. So this is another thing too. Like when you're taking the test, if you have this mindset of, oh my God, I got that one wrong. And then you go to the next one. Oh my God, I got that one wrong. Oh, I don't know this one. I got that one wrong. And you continually tell yourself you got it wrong. You're really demoralizing yourself, and you're putting yourself in a position where you believe there's no way that you're going to be able to pass. And then your ability to choose a good answer just goes down and down and down. And then you get a fail, and you've confirmed the reality that you created for yourself. So what is better to do when you are taking the test is to pretend you got it right. Because first of all, you're not for sure that you got it wrong. All that you're for sure of is that you're not confident in that the answer you chose is correct. Because the truth is, you can guess and get the answer right. There's a 25% chance that you guess the right answer. There's 4 choices. You guess, you got a 25% chance of being right. So just because you're not comfortable or not confident doesn't mean you got it wrong. And there's been many people who passed who are like, I don't feel like I really understood any question, but I just trusted that I had enough knowledge to be able to guess correctly, and I pulled off a pass. So you've got to have this energy of like, I like to tell people, just pretend you guessed it right instead of thinking you got it wrong, assuming you got it wrong when that's not the actual truth. You just don't feel confident. Then just say, I guessed that one correctly. I guessed that one correctly. I guessed that one correctly. And it puts you in a much better, mindset. The other thing too is like you don't need 100%. There's a good chunk of the questions that you can get wrong. So you don't need to get every question correct. But if you like, like feel like a punch in your gut every time you feel like you guessed bad, then it's just going to tear you down and tear you down. But there's a lot of space for you to guess bad. Like there's 30% in most states. You can get 30% of the questions wrong in most states and still pull off a pass. And then there's even some states where they have pre-test questions where there's like extra questions, and so you can get like even more of those questions wrong and it doesn't impact you at all. So even when it's like, I don't think I got that one right, I don't think I got that one right, you're allowed to have a bunch of them that you didn't get right and you can still pass. So like you can eke, like I just eked out one of the, before I was teaching the exam, before I got into this industry of teaching the insurance exam, I was looking into selling life insurance on a remote basis. And I went to go take my test and I like barely studied. I like read all the material in a weekend, went through it very quickly. And then I went to go take the exam and I was like sweating bullets, but I'm like, it's okay. I've got this. And I'm like answering the questions. I eked out with a 71. A 71 is passing, like a 71%. Like that's all you need. And then in California, you only need 60. So like if you're in California, which you are, I don't know your name, but we're talking over here on TikTok. Um, all you need is a 60. So like you can get almost half of them wrong and still pass. So like have that vibe, have that energy. Like I've got this. It doesn't matter how many I got wrong. All I care is about I need 70 or 60% to pass. And I've got this. In California, 60%. So having that energy, like I'm guessing correctly. I've even encouraged people, and this has worked for people. They'll come and they'll tell you, is pretend that you're asking me the question. So like as you're sitting down, you're like, oh my God, this question makes no sense to me. I'm going to ask Melissa, and just in your mind, like I'm asking Melissa this question, and then whatever comes to you, A, B, C, D, just choose it and move on and be like, she told me the answer. And we are energetic beings. And so if we just have this energy of like, I've got this, I can pass this, and I trust that this is working for me, then it can work for you. Like I trust in that. I believe in that. And it works so many times. So pretend that you're guessing it correctly, have the energy and vibe that like, I'm passing. This is great. This is awesome. Nothing that is what is meant for me cannot be taken from me. This is all working out in my favor. And that component, in addition to watching the gold videos, puts people on a really good path to be able to pass.
Right. So see, this is the breakdown that the last time they sent me as my paper. It was a 76 out of 150. The general insurance, there's 22 questions. On property and casualty, there's 22. Personal lines, there's 53.
Mm-hmm.
Commercial, there's 51. And then there's pet insurance, and there's 2 questions on that.
Yeah, I don't even worry about pet insurance. I don't have a video on it at all.
Yeah, they had 2 on there, and the second or the third time I got one of them right, because I don't know, I remember the answer that I chose last time, and I was like, well, I got one of them right, but I got 11 out of 22 on general casualty. I got 8 out of 22. The personal lines 29 out of 53, and commercial was 27 out of 51.
So you're doing really good on commercial, honestly. So if you can beef up that general insurance by listening to the 2 YouTube videos. So definitely listen to the gold video on general insurance for sure. But if you can, like, while you're driving, while you're like in the shower, while you're cooking, while you're cleaning, whatever it is you may be doing in your life, if you can listen to the 2 general insurance memorization audios on YouTube, that can help you get those 11 points there. And then in personal lines, that's the dwelling, the homeowners, and the personal auto insurance. Watching those videos on repeat inside of gold can definitely help you out. And then there's also, and this is free for everybody, available on the website. If you go to insuranceexamqueen.com and you go to resources, there are free notes that you can download. And inside of one, I have a property policies document that is 13 pages long, teaching you about dwelling in homeowners, typed out in like a easy way to like understand that information. So I definitely encourage everybody to read that one as well.
Right. I'm probably going to finish. I don't know how much more is left on here, but I'm probably going to finish where I'm at.
David?
I literally just finished a quiz on flood and casualty. or the umbrella and casualty, the flood casualty and umbrella policies. But I gotta go through the last few. I'm probably gonna go through and watch dwelling, and then after I finish this gold course, I'm probably gonna pay for the test again and set up a day so I can kind of study until that time frame to take it.
Yeah. Yeah, trust yourself, watch the gold videos, get those general insurance memorization. And then there, oh my gosh, so there are so many comments. But the baby, the baby needs me. So I think I need to go. She didn't have it, she had a very late nap today, and I think I gotta go nurse her. I think David's asking for me. Yeah. Okay. All right. I love you all. I really liked doing this live thing where you came on and asked me questions. So I'm going to figure out how to do that. You guys are dropping comments left and right. I wish I could go through all of these comments. You guys are amazing.
Somebody asks a request, it'll normally pop as like the multi guest. I mean, if you wanted to have like 4, I don't know, that would probably be hectic. But you can have like, I think up to like 4 or 5. I've seen some people have like 10 people in there. So I mean,
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. And I mainly use YouTube, so I got to figure that out. But I got to go, guys. I love you all so much. Have an amazing day. I'm sending you guys all the loves, all the vibes to pass the exam. I got to go get that baby. She's crying.